Clionadh and Angelica Nyqvist have teamed up for round 2 of Angelica's favorites from Clionadh, and I want to talk you through all of the eyeshadows. I'm going to be doing some detailed swatches of these, and then I'll do a look with the shadows, and at the end I'll give you some brief thoughts on the bundle. Also, in case you're new here, my name is Noopur, and I love indie makeup and all things color and sparkle, and I also really love Clionadh. I would really appreciate it if you could give this video a like and consider subscribing, especially if you like indie makeup content, because that is a lot of what I do here on my channel. Before we get into the video, I just want to disclose really quickly that I did receive these eyeshadows to do some paid swatches for Clionagh's website, so you will be able to see those on the website on launch day, but I will also be sharing them later in this video. Let me give you some launch details really quickly. So this bundle is launching on Thursday, April 17th at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and it is not code eligible. Also, there are no brand new shades in this bundle. Angelica just curated like her top 10 favorites of shades that are already existing within Clionagh's lineup. Additionally, at the same time that the bundle is launching, Clionadh is going to be starting their anniversary sale. So let me read you off what will be on sale and for how much. It's going to be 40% off the Stained Glass Collection empty palettes. So this large one as well as the small one. The small one holds 16 of the stained glass eyeshadows and the large one holds 64. And then it's going to be 30% off the Stained Glass Collection scarves and Clionadh earrings, 25% off the stained glass nail polishes, and 15% off the Stained Glass Collection multi-chromes. So for the sale, affiliate codes do stack on most items, including the Stained Glass Collection eyeshadows. My code is Noopur, and thank you so much if you use it. It really does help me out. Also, in case you're just looking to pick up a few eyeshadows, I do have a video on my channel talking through my top 12 choices from Clionadh, and that video is specifically for a lot of their newer shades post the like giant 50 shade Stained Glass Collection expansion, but I do eventually want to do a video for my older favorites as well, so stay tuned for that somewhere down the road. That's all I have to say for now, so let me take you to some close-ups and swatches of the eyeshadows. Here are all 10 shades up close. You can see that it's a very colorful set and also very true to Angelica. Then here are my photo swatches so you can see them all swatched together, but I will be doing some detailed individual swatches in a second here along with shade descriptions. I'm popping back in really quickly to tell you how I do my swatches, just in case you're new to my account. So I do an opaque swatch up top and a sheer swatch at the bottom, and then when I'm rotating my hand like this, I show you the swatch both in focus as well as out of focus, just so you can get a well-rounded idea of what the eyeshadow looks like. And I also provide descriptions of like the shade and the texture and any notable things that I see. Lightfast is a Series 3 iridescent that shifts pink, red, orange, and yellow. This updated iridescent formula from Clionadh has a fine particle size and is pretty sparkly. It does have a white cast on my skin tone if I build it up too much. Vermilion is a deep iridescent that has a light, warm tan base and shifts pink, orange, gold, and lime. It is very smooth and more shiny than sparkly. I like to call it a frosted light bulb effect where it's intensely glowy and bright, but not really sparkly. Coronation is a vibrant multichrome that has a pigmented orange coral base with pink, peach, and chartreuse shifts. It is on the smooth side with a fine particle size, but still decently sparkly, similar to the Series 3 iridescents. Flare is a glitter multichrome with a vibrant and pigmented red-orange base, and it shifts green to mint to pink. The glitter multichromes have more of a medium particle size and do not contain actual glitter, but they are still very sparkly and smooth out decently. A glitter glue would help smooth it out more though. Aureate is a deep iridescent with a light gray base and yellow gold sparkles with no shift. It has a medium particle size and is super sparkly, unlike Vermilion, but it still smooths out easily. The contrast between the cool tone base and warm tone sparkles make it very unique, even though it isn't shifty. Throne is a vibrant multichrome with a bright yellow base and sparkles that shift pink, gold, and lime. Particle size is very fine. The shifts and sparkles are not very strong, and that might be due to how pigmented the base is. Usually yellow does not show up on my skin tone that well, but this one does look yellow. Chandelier is a glitter multichrome with a very sheer and pale mustard base with sparkles that shift turquoise, indigo, violet, and pink. It has a dimensional quality to it with the way the sparkles catch the light. The sparkles are medium size and smooth out easily. Mural is an electric multichrome with a minty green base and sparkles that shift orange, peach, yellow, and lime. It has a small medium particle size and is very sparkly. This one is super vibrant both in the base and the reflex, and it's also very shifty. Lineage is a vibrant multichrome with a minty blue base and it shifts pink, gold, and lime. The shifts are more on the pearly and muted side. The particle size is fine, and this shade is also not super sparkly, just like Throne is. Again, this might be the trade-off for a more vibrant base. Coat of Arms is a hybrid multichrome with a plummy brown base, and it shifts blue to indigo to red. The hybrid shades are a cross between the jeweled and glitter shades, so they are relatively smooth with slightly deep bases but are more sparkly than the jeweled shades. That being said, this is not the most sparkly shade, though it is pretty shifty. Okay, for the look, I know for a fact that I want to use the shade Mural because it's one of Clionadh's best sellers, and we know that it's one of Angelica's favorites, but it's also one of my favorites. And just because so many people have been curious about the shadow over the years, I figured it would be good to do a look with it since I haven't featured it on my account in quite some time. And I'm going to be pairing it with mattes from Clionadh Garland and Garden quad, specifically this green one with this murky khaki and this green matte over here. I'm not going to be using the shimmers, just the mattes. And once again, in case you're new to my channel, the way that I do my tutorials is I'm going to be showing you the application on this eye, but I'll already have the step completed on this eye. That way you can see as I'm building the eyeshadow what the end goal is. I'm going to start with this really murky shade over here. So I'm just going to be running this through the crease. Clionadh's matte formula is quite powdery, but it's pretty pigmented. Like this type of shade is typically, you know, it takes a bit of effort to show up on my skin tone, and I am, you know, building this up in light layers because that's my blending style, but it's showing up quite pigmented as you can see on this eye. It's definitely not my favorite formula in the world, but it is pretty easy to work with in my opinion. And I know a lot of people feel like Clionadh's mattes are like nothing to write home about, and I agree they're not like my favorite formula, but I also don't know how many people realize that there has been a reformulation since their original matte formula. So when they relaunched the Paleo and Archeo palettes and put out the Oceano palette last summer, I think it was, that was a reformulated matte formula, and since then it's been that formula in all of their palettes. Now I'm going to dip into this green shade and it's going to go on my outer corner. I'm keeping the matte work pretty simple, which, you know, I always do that, but I feel like especially when it comes to Clionadh and it's about their stained glass collection, I feel like it's just best to let the multichromes speak for themselves. So this shade did take a little bit more effort to build up to this pigment level that you see here, and part of that is because of my blending style. I am a build and blend girly. I prefer to work in small, thin layers, but I feel like it took more work than I usually take to build up to my preferred pigment level. And I actually think that part of that is because I set my eye primer with translucent powder, which I don't always do. And I don't know why I did that today because I find that it's not really necessary with Clionadh mattes. So that was my mistake. And I think that if you're the type of person who absolutely needs to set their eye primer with powder, like that is a non-negotiable in your routine, then I don't know if you will like these mattes. It's finally Mural time, and I'm gonna just grab it on my finger and look at how pretty that is. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put this on my lid, but kind of avoid this inner third area over here. I'm not even using any glitter primer or the Clionadh Shine On Shimmer Enhancer that came out in collaboration with Bat to the Brow Millie, but I feel like if you wanted this eyeshadow to be like even more electric, then that would be a really good option underneath it. The shimmer enhancer would also help with minimizing fallout, which I did get some here on my cheek, but first of all, I don't really mind fallout, and second of all, fallout is unavoidable for me on camera because the way that I avoid it when I'm doing my makeup, not like for a YouTube video, is I will tilt my head forward like this and tap the shimmer on like this, so that way fallout falls like in front of me onto my vanity rather than onto my cheek over here. But I can't really do that when I'm applying stuff on camera for you guys, so I usually end up with fallout. Now for the inner third of my eye, I'm gonna pick up this eyeshadow Throne. I never picked up this eyeshadow because I knew that it wasn't the sparkliest shade, and I'm someone who is a sparkle goblin, but I wanted to use it in the tutorial because the base is such a vibrant yellow, and that's just like a shade that's really hard. Like it doesn't show up on my skin tone that well usually, but I feel like this eyeshadow, like the base is so vibrant, I just wanted to see what it looked like. When I tilt my head back like this so the light is not hitting the eyeshadow directly, I can definitely see that yellow base underneath, and granted it's just on like a small portion of my eyelid right now, but I bet if I put it all over my entire lid it would look super punchy and vibrant. I'm gonna finish up the look with a little bit of Chandelier, and that's going in the inner corner, down over here a little bit, and of course my signature move, running it up through the swoop. So I never picked up Chandelier because I thought that it was too similar to Carving, which I already have. And Carving is not one of my favorites anymore. It was like really pretty when I first picked it up, but since then I just feel like there have been better eyeshadows released, like in general in the indie market, but also from Clionadh. So I just feel like Carving is not that special, but Chandelier, like if you told me that this was a recent release from Clionadh, I would believe you. It has that beautiful dimensional sparkly quality to it, and I low-key regret not picking this up earlier. Here's the final look. The rest of my makeup details will be in the description box, but I really love how it turned out because Mural she's just that girl. I feel like one of the things that I really love about Mural is that it does something that I really enjoy doing in my makeup looks in general, and that is it plays with the contrast between warm and cool tones, because the base is this cool toned mint, but then the shifts are these fiery warm tones, and I just love how they contrast against each other. And here's the eyeshadow in a slightly different lighting setup so you can see all of the texture and sparkle and shifts, especially with Mural. Like, you can see how shifty it is just on both of my lids, and the sparkle in Chandelier, like that is truly a glitter multichrome. Moving on to my thoughts on this bundle, and they're going to be pretty brief because these are all existing shades from Clionadh's lineup, so, you know, I don't have like a ton to say. What I will say is I think this bundle, and just, you know, bundles in general, are such a good way to try out a brand if you're new to it. Like if you've never tried out Clionadh and you are kind of overwhelmed by their catalog, because let's be real, they have a ton of eyeshadows at this point, I think that this bundle is a really good way to try just like a variety of shades from the brand. I will say that I was surprised that I only had 4 of these shades in my collection prior to receiving this bundle from Clionadh, because I own a lot of Clionadh. I was added onto their PR list from the Deep Sea Treasures palette onward, so I own all of the singles that they released after that, which tells me that 6 out of the 10 shadows in this bundle are their older shades, which, don't get me wrong, I'm always happy to add more Clionadh to my collection, but I just wanted to point that out. I also think that this bundle is a really good representation of Angelica because, you know, she's known for loving really bright and colorful looks, and so many of the eyeshadows in this bundle are bright and colorful eyeshadows. Clionadh does have quite a few spicy neutral shades, but I don't see a ton of that in this bundle, so I feel like this bundle is definitely for the color lovers. That's all I have to say. If you made it till the end of the video, I would love to know what your favorite eyeshadow from the bundle was, or just what your favorite Clionadh eyeshadow is in general, because like I said, I am always looking to add more Clionadh to my collection. And thank you so much for watching till the end. I always really appreciate it. Please don't forget to give this video a like before you go, especially if you found it helpful, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!